we had the most amazing mission in Iraq. And again, my first deployment, I think I was 24 years old, so I'm still very, very young in the real world. But in the military, at 24, when you're in a fleet squadron, you're starting to get fairly seasoned. You're doing a lot of work, so I felt pretty competent. But we had this one training flight off the carrier, off the coast of Kuwait, where there was going to be myself and one other A-6, and I was leading the A-6s. We're going to be escorted by 2 Kuwaiti Hornets, and then the opposition. Well, I'm sorry, and then we're all leaving from the same spot off the coast of Kuwait. And then there was going to be 2 Kuwaiti A-4s, and the Kuwaitis had some really, really cool A-4s. We're going to be going in the opposite direction. So Kuwait, for those of you who don't know, is a very, very small nation. It's essentially a city-state, kind of like the Vatican or Monaco or something like that. So it's a country, but it's also just really a city. So we were going to be flying counterclockwise, up the coast north, and then cutting inland and attacking this airfield on the northwest side of Kuwait on the border with Iraq. And then these Kuwaiti A-4s were going to be doing the same thing, but going south first and then cutting across the Kuwaiti-Saudi Arabia border and then cutting north to get to the very same airfield, but from the opposite direction. And then we were going to be escorted by Hornets, Kuwaiti Hornets, and then the opposition was going to be British Tornadoes.
Ah.
But the air-to-air variant, I can't remember exactly what that was called.
The F3, yeah.
GR1, right? Or GR3?
GR1's the bomber, F3's the interceptor.
Of F3. Okay, cool. So, yeah, that was going to be the opposition. And we were flying, we were doing the A-6 mission, man. We were flying, as low as we could stand it. And it was a beautiful, sunny day in Kuwait, which it is 390 days a year. And I never saw any of these people. All the briefing was done via messaging, and so the coordination was very suspect. But sure enough, we get to the rendezvous point at the right time, and we pull up our frequencies, and there they are. These 2 out of nowhere, magically, these 2 Kuwaiti Hornets appear on either side of my formation, one on each side, and I see the Kuwaiti A-4s, and everything seems to be going perfectly. And so off we go. We go down to about 200 feet up the coastline, and the Kuwaiti Hornets are maybe at 1,000 feet, which makes now that I have flown fighters, it makes that tactic makes absolutely no sense. But anyway, they were relatively close to us as a fighter escort, and we're flying our mission, and now we have a common frequency, and we start hearing other people beginning to get engaged, and the adrenaline levels up and the excitement levels up, and we're looking around, and all of a sudden in the distance I see a tornado coming out of the sky at 7,000-8,000 feet, and our 2 Hornets, off they go off and engage, and we lose them. So now we're naked and unafraid. We had to turn to defend ourselves a little bit, so we're a little bit off on timeline, and frankly we're not really paying attention to it at all anyway. We're just going as fast as we can. And before we get to the target, we get jumped by another section of tornadoes, and but they just turned with us briefly for a couple, maybe 180 degrees of turn, and then we disengage from them. And there's chatter on the radio from all different aspects. You can hear British accents, you can hear American accents, you can hear Kuwaiti accents. Everybody's obviously speaking English, but with these wide variety of accents and a huge range of whether or not you can actually understand what people are saying, because even though we're speaking English, the Brits don't sound necessarily or say the same thing we say when when under stress. And certainly the Kuwaitis were speaking a second language. So we basically have no idea what's going on, and we're coming into the target, and the plan was to do a pop, which means you come in as low and as fast as you possibly can, and about 6 miles away from the target, you pop up to about 1,800 feet, roll over, acquire the target in a dive, and then drop your ordnance, and then off you go. You're off target. So I pull up and I'm in the pop, and as I look up in the pop, I see maybe 4,000 or 5,000 feet above me. There's a tornado, and he doesn't see me yet, but I know he's there, and I'm gonna have to deal with him in a second. And I roll over inverted, and I pull back down. I see the target, which is very obvious. It's a hangar with a hole in it from from the war. It had been blown up, and I'm rolling down, and as I'm in the dive at maybe 1,500 feet, 1,000 feet, this A4 goes in the opposite direction, right under my nose. Coming, it was one of the A4s that had been going on the other side of the route, and he was well behind his timeline. So he never saw me. He just flew right underneath me on the same target. I'm like, holy crap. And he's gone. I drop, my simulated ordnance. I come off target, and this tornado is now turning on me. So I'm in a dogfight, with this tornado at maybe 1,000 feet, pulling for everything I'm worth. And a Hornet, one of the Kuwaiti Hornets, comes and rescues me, because I was certainly no dogfighter in the A6. Rescues me and jumps the tornado. My wingman and I managed to disengage from the fight, and we're exiting to the northeast, which is out towards the water, as literally at 50 feet, as fast as we could possibly go. My heart's pounding and it's in my throat. And we're in perfect combat spread. Everything's just incredible. And we're flying out over the water over Kuwait City. And there's these traditional fishing boats they have. They're just beautiful fishing boats. And we're flying at mast level, just right over their head, screaming out over the water. It was just one of the more intense and amazing days I ever had.
What a fantastic story.
Yeah, it was so fun.